Hello, welcome to the Luminous Fiber Arts Flosstube channel. I'm Misty Purcell. Thanks for checking me out if this is your first time here, and welcome back if you've been here before. I am excited to be here today to tell you about my new releases for spring 2022. Some of them are designs that I've been working on for quite some time, and it's kind of unreal, surreal that I'm finally releasing them. So really excited to share with you what I've been working on. And then I'll also share some personal projects and my giveaway winner from last time and a little bit of what I've been up to. So welcome, and let's get started. So the first design that I'm going to share with you today is called Gathering Honey, and it's part of my Gathering series, which includes gathering berries, gathering clover, gathering acorns, gathering snowflakes, and now we have gathering honey. Super pleased with how this one turned out. I was on a quest to find the perfect shade of silk floss for this design, and I tried like a million of them, but Classic Colorworks just had the perfect shade, which is Teddy Bear. This is stitched with 2 strands of silk floss over 2 fabric threads on 32 count sparrow linen that I dye. And a good substitute would be Vintage Country Mocha. I used mother of pearl buttons, which is a theme in this series, but you can leave the buttons off. I include a version of the chart with and without them. And ironically, when I was going to photograph this, I had just finished photographing it, and then I did a photo with all of the gathering designs together. And I looked at the picture and I thought, one of these things is not like the other ones. And it was that I hadn't put the buttons on yet. And so I was so bummed, and I was starving because I hadn't eaten lunch and I was tired. So I had to go eat lunch and then face putting the buttons on and then re-photograph everything, which was fine. After I ate lunch, it was okay. Before lunch, I was getting a little hangry. So that was my little like accidental thing that I did when I made this. The rayon ribbon is Honeycomb from Lady Creates, and Lois was kind enough to create this color specifically for this design. So it is a new color that's just recently out, and I always put beads using Vonna's tutorial. So I always recommend that you check out Vonna's ruched ribbon tutorial. She talks about how to finish a pillow and put beads and rayon ribbon on it. So I always put that in my patterns now, and I'll put a link on this video in case you want to check it out. So this is the last design in this series that I have planned. I have ideas for other possible designs, but this is the last one that I had designed. So it could be the end of the series. It could be that there's some time off and then, you know, more will come out. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I've really enjoyed this series. I've loved seeing your excitement about the series, and it was really fun for the winter cross stitch camp. A lot of people, there's I think a 1-color project challenge kind of thing going on, and a lot of people were stitching the gathering designs, and it was such a pleasure to see those popping up on Instagram. So it makes me happy that you're enjoying this series so much. When I designed this, I was debating whether this should be a bee skep or a jar with honey with a little honey dipper. I had a hard time deciding. I sent it to my friend, and then she was like, nah, it's got to be the bee skep. So the bee skep won out, but at one time there was a chance that it was going to be a jar of honey instead. Okay, so that is Gathering Honey. All right, so now we're going to talk about my big new series, which is called Mousecapades. And I mentioned in my last video, this is kind of based on the idea of if you imagined, or if I imagined, is I guess what happened here. If I imagined, what if mice lived at the North Pole? Then the answer is a series. So it's a series of 7 designs. There are 6 small ones that are all the same size, that are square, and then there's 1 long rectangular one. And they can be stitched separately or all together. And I got the idea for the designs starting back in like the fall of 2019, that long ago. And I had designed the first one At the time, I thought it just might be an ornament on its own, or that maybe I would do like a pair or possibly 3 at most. But I had found out that I'd gotten into Nashville Needlework Market for 2020, so I had to just drop it and figure that hopefully I'd come back to it. And so eventually I did. And then as I was playing around with it and I got a few more done, I thought, well, this would be perfect. Like, I'm having so much fun with this series designing it. It would be perfect, rather than just doing a few of them, to do like a whole group. And I've always really enjoyed how Little House Needleworks does some of their series where they have them all together. You could stitch them separately or all together. And I liked that idea. And I thought, well, maybe I could do something like that where they could be stitched together or separately. And so I thought a lot about how I could lay them out and had to tweak some things so that everything would fit. I had a lot of fun coming up with the different little mice scenarios for Christmas. And if you've been with me for quite a while, you might remember that I have a set of Christmas mice from Inesco that I put out every year at Christmas. And when I first shared them, I think people were like, you should do a design with that. And I'm like, yes, I should. Now, I'm obviously not using any of those mice scenarios in my designs, but I just really love those Christmas mice. And my love of the Christmas mice is what inspired me to play around with the idea of mice at Christmas. And they're really the only kind of mice I want in my house, the not real cute kind. So fake mice that are cute, okay. Okay, so let me just start talking to you about the designs themselves, and then I'll go back to saying a little bit more about the series. So Mousecapades number 1 is called Mice on Ice. And so they've decided to go skating. So, you know, they're hard at work making the toys for Santa, but then they get some time off and they need to, you know, let off a little steam. So here they are enjoying some of their downtime. They're doing a little skating on the pond. We've got like a strand of lights here hanging above them. There's a cute little house in the distance and some smoke coming out of the chimney. So after they're done skating, they're gonna go home and have a cup of hot cocoa. So this is a square, and you could also make it an ornament. You could just finish it and display it like in a tiered tray or a dough bowl if you wanted to, or you can stitch them all together. I'll talk about that in a moment. The fabric for all of them, for all the designs that I did in the series, it's 32 count smoky pearl, which is a Zweigart fabric, so it's not hand dyed. It's a grayish blue color. And I really felt like I could not keep up with trying to dye fabric for 7 designs. So I just went with a fabric that is commercially available and easy to get, or at least for the moment, it is easy to get. So I'll talk about some fabric options in a minute. And the trim is Lady Dot Creates Sequoia Mini Pom Pom trim. And I just used a coordinating fabric on the back. This is actually a batik that I got at my local quilt shop. Okay, so Mousecapades 1, Mice on Ice. Mousecapades 2. Okay, this one is on the housetop. And you can see that they are racing. And the mouse elf is on skis, and he's skiing down the gumdrop roof of a gingerbread house. And his reindeer friend is racing him. Who will win? The mouse or the reindeer? I don't even know the answer to this. I don't know. It's a mystery to me as well. You'll have to decide for yourself. Okay, so as you can see, these are the same size. So Mousecapades 1 through 6 are all this size. And then Mousecapades 7 will be the equivalent of 3 across with a little space between them. So these are super cute. I love how they turned out. Most of the designs use the same colors of floss, and they all, again, use the same fabric and trim. All 7 pillows are stitched on the smoky pearl with the poms. They're all finished as pillows. And then you can stitch them all separately, or if you would like to stitch them all together, then I have a free outer border with a layout for how you would place them if you would like to lay them out that way. And that's on my website. And you can find it by either going to the chart corrections and additions tab, or there's also a Mousecapades info link right at the top of my homepage. And you can click on that and it tells you about like fabric options, the floss that's used in the series. It gives you a preview of what all the designs would look like stitched together. And then there's a link to that complementary outer border. Okay, so let me talk about fabric a little bit, and I need to grab it. Depending on what you want to do, if you want to stitch them all together, a fat 1/4 of 32 count would give you a 2.5 inch margin on each side and like lots on the top and bottom if you want to use my complementary border. And then a fat 1/4 would be good if you just think you want to stitch some of them. So the original fabric is the smoky pearl linen. If you don't stitch on 32 count linen, you could, if you're a Lugana stitcher, the slate blue, it's bluer, but it's pretty. And I think it would give a good effect. When I laid the floss colors on it, I thought it still looked nice, but you're basically looking for a grayish blue, I would say. There's a lot of bright colors in the design that I toned down by using a gray fabric, and they work well, but I think that if you used a warmer blue, those colors might be too bright for you. I mean, you'd have to see, but that would be my sense of it. So I would suggest that if you want to use a blue for it, you go with a grayer blue. So 32 count slate blue Lugana is an alternative you could use. You know, there's a lot of blues out there. I don't have access to all of them, so I can't really tell you every possible fabric you can use. Of my own fabrics that I dye, I think Snow Day could work. I don't have any of this right now. It's just something that I'll dye when I can. Snow Day is a grayish blue, and here, let's see if I can hold them. Let's see how many fabrics I can hold up at a time. So you can see it's lighter, but I think it would work. It looks nice with the flosses. And then the other one that could work, again, I don't have this right now. It would just be when I can get to it, because my goal was not to dye fabric for 7 designs. My goal was to not do that because I can't. So it's just when I can get to this, I'll offer it. And if you are interested in these fabrics, then sign up for my newsletter so that you get a notification whenever I can stock them. So this one is Faded Denim, which is another grayish blue, and I think that could work. Now, if you're going to use alternative fabrics, there's one shade of blue overdyed floss called Blue Moon, which you might not have enough contrast. It's not in all of the designs, but it's in some of them. You might not have enough contrast between that particular blue and the fabric. So you might need to sub a color or more. You know, you'd have to decide what you think of how it looks. So just so you know. Okay, so those are your fabric options, and I also include that information on the info page. Yeah, so I've been working on this series. Like I said, I started in 2019, not quite knowing where it was going to go. And then I worked really hard in 2020 and 2021, pulling it together to bring it out this year, you know, planning out everything and when I'd release it and what it took me a long time to choose the fabric and the flosses. Spent a lot of time really working on this. And then over Christmas, I was sewing mini pom-pom trim until I got like a callus on my finger from doing it. I was trying to hurry up and get the models done. So I'm not going to show all the models now. As I said, you can see a preview if you'd like of what it will all look like stitched together. And then over time you'll see them, or if you watch People's Market videos, you could see them then, because I have them all done and I will have them on display at market. Trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's it for that design. Oh, if I remember something, I guess I'll have to insert something into this video. Okay, so this is in, I guess it's not on the info page. The releases, I'm planning them to be now, and then the next release will be the next 2 designs. That will be 3 and 4, and those would be released in June. And then August would be 5 and 6, and then 7 will come out in October. That's my plan. 7, as I said, is a larger one, so it will be in a leaflet rather than a 1-page on it in the like some of my other designs are like they're folded, so it'll be a larger pattern. Okay, so I think that's everything. And let's move on to the next design. This is a turkey's thanks. And I was inspired to design a turkey's thanks after I saw this little bird applique piece at an antique shop. And I really liked, the bird was kind of looking over his shoulder like this. And he was just really sweet, and he had this vine growing over him, and I think it said, "Be thankful." I thought it might be a turkey of some kind, but looking at the picture now, I think it might be a duck. I don't know, but yeah, the colors and just looking at it some more, I think it's a duck. But anyway, at the time, it made me think of like a turkey and a cute turkey. I was thinking how I don't see a lot of really cute turkeys. And I just really liked his pose, so I wanted to try to design something where I had that same pose. So that was the inspiration for this design. And this one I had a little trouble deciding what the scenario would be. And at one point I had a cornucopia with things coming out of it, you know, on the ground, and vines like around him, and it just wasn't quite right. And I kept tweaking it and decided that pumpkins were the way to go on this design. So if you need a cute turkey for your Thanksgiving and fall display, I think this guy has you covered. This is 40 count soft porcelain, which is dyed by me, and I have fabric substitutions listed on the pattern. You don't have to stitch it on 40 count just because I did. You can stitch it on any count that you want. And the rayon ribbon is Rusty Gate from Lady Creates. This is part of my A Bird's series, which includes a bluebird's message, a bluebird's salute, a robin's discovery, a raven's reply. They're all generally the same size. They're not the exact same dimensions. The gathering series are all the same dimensions. Mousecapades are the same dimensions except for number 7. These vary slightly, but are approximately the same dimensions. So I love how he turned out. He is too cute to eat, but he's nice to look at. So that's the story of how this design came to be. It was a happenstance kind of thing with a cute duck that inspired me. Okay, and then I don't have any more designs planned for this series. This will probably be the last one unless, again, something strikes my fancy. But he just called out to me, so he had to happen. And I don't have a lot of fall stuff, so I do a lot of Halloween. But I'm really looking forward to having him on display with my fall things this coming year, or this year actually, because it's 22. How is it 2022? I don't know. And we're already a third of the way through February. I don't know what's happening. I had to pause because a truck was backing up. So let me start again with this one. My last design is called Stitching Birds, and it's part of my friendship series. And so each design in the series is inspired by a friendship theme, and this one is that friends love to stitch together and talk about stitching together. And so we've got our pin cushion in the middle. There's just really cool tape measure along the bottom, pair of scissors with a red handle because I'm kind of a sucker for scissors with a red handle. Got a spool of thread, a thimble, some needles at the top, a few doodads, some mother of pearl buttons from my stash, and then my initials. And these initials are Stephanie Webb's because she is one of my stitching friends. I talk about cross stitch with her all the time. So it seemed appropriate because of our always talking about cross stitch and the fact that we both really love birds and we design a lot of birds. It seemed like she needed to be the bird. So Stephanie Webb is my stitching bird friend. Who is your stitching bird friend? So you can stitch this, put your initials and your friend's initials, and celebrate your friendship. The pattern includes an alphabet so that you can personalize it with your initials and theirs. Just a few colors of over-dyed floss, and then the rest is DMC on this one. One thing I do want to mention about this particular design is that it features more back stitching and long stitching than most of my designs, and particularly here in the measuring tape, and one of the pins, there are stitches that fall in the middle of stitches, meaning that if you were stitching on Aida, you'd have to split a stitch, or if your fabric, and that even here, you're gonna have to split crosses that you've made. So it's not easy to do. I just had to have this way because I loved how the numbers looked. But if that's not your jam, then you can just stitch the markings on the ruler without doing the numbers and it will look fine. You can even leave the markings off entirely and it will still look like a tape measure. So do what works for you. If you want to adjust the position of the pin, the one pin that's that way, do that. You know, it's up to you what you want. So I'm just letting you know that that's a part of this design and you can choose to adapt it or whatever as you need. Okay, so there's 3 other designs that are out in this series. Oh wait, I should tell you about this design first. Okay, they're all stitched on 32 count sparrow linen, including this one. And again, Vintage Country Mocha is a fine substitute. This is Polar Ice Mini Pom Pom trim from Lady Dot Creates. So all the designs in this series are stitched on 32 count sparrow linen with mini pom pom trim in various colors. And the other designs are playful cats, stashing squirrels, and BFF bunnies. So each one has a friendship theme and it features different animals. And I've stitched the initials of a different friend on each one. So this was a lot of fun to design and I had a really good time making this series and celebrating my friends. I hope you've enjoyed the series as well. This is the last one that I have planned for this. So we're ending 3 series in this spring and starting one big new one. Okay, so that is stitching birds. All of my patterns include a conversion to DMC. Most of my designs use a mix of over-dyed flosses and DMC. So just so you know those things about the designs. So I'm really happy with how they came out and I'm super excited. I hope you love them as much as I do. Yeah, it's just really exciting to be to this point of having these, this particular group of designs coming out. I'm very, very happy and excited. Okay, so I think that's all on those designs. So let's talk about some of my personal projects. Okay, so personal projects. I have 2 finishes and a couple of whips and 1 new start. So first finish is this guy, which I showed last time. I was working on him. He is from Imaginating. And the booklet is called Simply Red Ornaments. I had done one of the designs and then I decided to pick this one up as my first 12 and 22 ornament challenge pieces. So I started this and finished it in January. And the challenge is hosted by Carol. She's stitching dreams for her blog and she's Caroling53, I think, on Instagram. So I decided to do this ornament because Jenny, who is Long Dog Stitcher, encouraged me to go back to this leaflet. And so for the first, at least few designs, I'm trying to pick things where I've never stitched something by the designer or I've only stitched like one thing by the designer. I used the called for DMC on this and 40 count white Zweigart linen. So this is still a pretty big ornament. And if you were to stitch it on the called for count, it would be much bigger. I think this was a 4.5 inch circle. And I wasn't sure if I wanted it to be an oval or a square or a circle, but the circle seemed to be the best option. One thing that's funny that I noticed, and I think it's funny because it happens to me too, is this charted right here. It's not in the model photo. They forgot to stitch it. I have a couple of those too in my own design. Something where I charted it and I forgot to stitch it, or I decided to take it out and forgot to take it out. So I only laugh in understanding. This is my first time making a metallic cording. I really like it. I followed Vonna's instructions. She's got a tutorial on 2-color cording, and part of that tutorial includes one on making a metallic. So big thanks to Vonna. I'd already bought the supplies, so I actually didn't get the kind that she recommended that she uses. I got a DMC. I don't know if this is, I'll have to look it up and I'll put it in the description. I don't remember which floss I used for this, for the silver, but it's kind of a whitish silver. I really like it. And then I used the DMC that was in the design as part of the cording. Backstitching goes a lot faster than you'd think, and especially if you do backstitching on 40 or 36 count where you're stitching with one strand and then you're doing the backstitching with one strand, it goes really fast because you don't have to change or stop anything. So backstitching actually goes pretty fast. I made a little mistake over here and I just kind of fudged it. It looks fine, you can't tell. So that is my Santa. I'm thrilled with how he came out. So I got one done so far. I only have 11 to go for this year. Okay. My other finish was actually from a while ago, and it was like Christmas. My mom used to knit, and she had a knitting machine too. So she was going through things and she found this hat. I don't know if it's called like a newsboy cap, but basically it's a little hat with a brim that she had knit on a knitting machine probably in my lifetime ago. And she had actually gotten it to the point where she'd knit the whole thing. It's like a Fair Isle hat. It's really pretty. It's white and kind of a pinky red, kind of hollyberry kind of color. Anyway, she'd knit the whole thing. She'd started seaming it up. She had the cardboard inserted into the brim, so the brim was all done, and she stopped. And that's how she found it. And she said, can you teach me how to, you know, like refresh my memory on how to seam up a hat? So I'm like, man, I haven't even seamed anything up in a while, but I just felt like I should do it because it would be really fast for me to do it. So while she was out doing her goat chores one day when I was home for Christmas, I just seamed it up for her. But it made me laugh that she actually had started seaming it and stopped. Like, she was so close to finishing. I'm like, was I born and that was what stopped you from carrying on? I don't know, but probably not. I don't know that she'd have been working on that in April. But I did come early, so a little. Anyway, so after I got her hat done, then I thought, oh, you know, I'd brought my own hat that I had been working on with me on the off chance that I would feel like knitting while I was visiting. And the reason I started this actually like a couple years ago, but the reason I hadn't continued on with it is I wasn't sure if I wanted to go up one size. It's a little tighter than my current knit hat that I wear. And I don't like having hat hair, although I have it anyway, but I thought if it's tighter, then I'm really gonna have hat hair. And then I was thinking about my current hat tends to like slip and slide, and if I'm shoveling or something, it flies right off. And so I was like, well, maybe I do want one hat that's a little bit tighter. So I had knit this and I just needed to finish it, and I'd made it to somewhere around here, or maybe even up here. And this is designed by my friend Cynthia Spencer. Her pattern company is called Really Clear. And the reason I decided to knit this is actually she had knit a blue and red version when she designed it, and she asked me to model it for her so she could take photos. And when I put it on, I'm like, I love this hat. Like, I loved how squishy it was. I loved how it felt. I liked how it looked on me. So I just knew that I needed to knit this hat, Nickie Ray. And so this is knit in Malabrigo Rios. I want to say it's Ravelry Red and Natural. And I don't remember what size I knit now, whatever fit my head. But I decided to go with the fake fur pom-pom. I've never had one before, and I know they're like probably now they're even out of style. I remember when everyone was getting them, but I really wanted one because I see them every so often and I think they look cool. So I bought from a shop on Etsy. I can link her shop below. I bought a few different ones that I thought could work with this. This ended up being the perfect one, so I've got a couple others for other hats I can make. But I just think the pom is great. And I was reading up on how to attach poms. You know, I mean, I've made my own pom-poms, but like how to attach one, like a faux one like this. And it comes with these little strands here. And you can use a button and pull them through. Now, apparently you can get something thinner, and I should have, because this was actually hard to fit through my button. It was hard to find a button big enough. So I would not upgrade to these that I got because I think it made it harder. So I'll put on my hat for you for a moment. I will model it. Very red today. So that is Nickie Ray. It's super cozy and cute. I really love it. And the pom-pom is super fun. I did not block it because I liked how squishy it was. and I didn't want to change the squishiness. I mean, maybe at some point I'll have to wash it and what have you, but I just decided not to block it. But easy and fun, and extra fun if you add a fake fur pom-pom. Okay, so that only took 2 years to mostly not be knitting, mostly not be working on. Okay, so let's talk about works in progress. And I have just a couple. Oh wait, no, I have one more finish. This is not a fully finished object, it's just a finish. Last time in my whip parade, 2 times ago, whenever that was, this was kind of close to being done, and I decided to focus on it and finish it, but I did not finish it. I just partially finished it. So you can see here what I got done. So I left off the alphabet at the bottom because I was just kind of done. And there's various things that I chose not to fill in out of preference. So this was filled in and I opted not to fill it in. And then these little circular ball things, they're supposed to have a middle. I did it here where it looks like flowers, but here I just kind of wanted them to look like they were like floating puff balls, so I did not fill them in. I changed the color of the flowers down here. I made various changes. I just kind of did whatever I wanted at some point. And I'm happy with how it turned out. I decided to not add the year. I'm not going to add my initials. I'm calling it good. No alphabet here because I just needed to be done. And it's pretty much a square actually at this point. So I'll take it and get it framed. This is 40 count. It's a solo that's kind of close to Sparrow, but a little bit more red, pink. Even that's not super accurate. It's even more red than what it's showing up. So yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out. I would say that this was a hard project for me. I guess it's like a weird Goldilocks thing where Winter Rose Manor is too much of fill in, and this is too many color changes where it's just like a short spurt of color, change. And I need more of a blend of some longer term stitching in a color and then some shorter stitching in other colors, I think, just for my personality. I don't like changing quite that much. There were just, it felt like there were times where there were too few places where I could stitch for a while in a color. So nothing wrong with the designer, nothing wrong with the design. That is just me and my personal preference, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just what I prefer. So very nice. It's very pretty, and I'm happy to have finished it. I did change some of the colors, so it does look a little different. Okay, so Vintage Birds, finished. Yay. I could not find when I started it. I think I started it in February of 2020, so like 2 years of on and off working on it. A little more multi-crafting going on here. I'm all about Bucilla these days. So I got this kit. I was admiring it for a while, and I don't really want it to hold utensils. I want to make these into ornaments, but I'm just a sucker for these mittens. So I ordered this. This is not a current kit. This is something I got on eBay, so it, you know, you can't get this except on a secondary market. But I'm all about Bucilla. My mom made some Bucilla things that I just remember growing up with and really enjoying. She has a tree skirt, she has a wall hanging, and a couple of ornaments, and I just loved them, and that fueled my love of felt things. And so I've done some felt crafting, but I have only done one Bucilla kit before for Halloween, and I have not finished it. So I decided to go back to something a little bit smaller because the project I had was big. So here is, so far, how one of my mittens is coming along. Super cute. I was afraid, I was really intimidated by doing any of the satin stitching because I don't think that my satin stitching looks good on felt, but actually it looks fine. But I have a hard time. I mean, on cross-stitch fabric where it's obvious which hole you have to go into next, okay, but with felt, I find it difficult. So this is coming along. It's taken me a while, but I'm enjoying just working at this like a little bit every week or every other week as I have time. I love all the bling. That's one of the things I love about Bucilla kits. So yeah, so I'm working on that. And then once I finished Vintage Birds, garden samplers. This was my birthday start last year, so I came back to this because I was in the mood for it. Prairie Schooler. This is 40 count Cafe au lait, and I finished the whole top now. And I just need to do this bottom part here. That's looking really nice. I'd be tempted to stop here, but I think I will stitch at least one more design from this series, possibly all 3 of them, because I do like them, and I would want to frame them all the same. So once I finish this, I probably won't frame it either, because I'll want to wait and take them all in. Okay, next, let's talk about mousecapades again. So part of my personal stitching is that once I finished stitching all of the designs separately, I was still feeling the need to have them all stitched together on one piece of fabric, like my complementary border that I've talked about that's on my website. So I started doing that. And so I'm starting a stitch along of the designs. You don't have to stitch them all together, but you can stitch with me. You can stitch as many as you want. You can stitch one, you can stitch them all, whatever you want. I'm going to use the hashtag mousecapades_sal. And you can just start stitching whenever you have your supplies, whenever you're ready, and use a hashtag then if you're on like Instagram, so I can see that you're working on it. So this is the complementary outer border on the chart. And then there's like a little outline so you can see with a number, so you can see which designs go where. So number 1 is done. I'm about to start number 2. I work on these on the weekend, like on Saturday for a little bit, and just, you know, by doing that, I can do like 1 a month or so. So this is gonna be fun. I can't wait. I have to tell you, because I designed them all together before I separated them. So it really looks good all together, I have to say. And I'm super excited to have the stitched version all together. I think it's gonna be so impressive because the picture, the computer generated picture of it all together is really awesome. So super excited about this. Hopefully fall, I'll have it all stitched up, can take it to the frame or get it framed and have it up at Christmas. I'll probably leave it up all year. I'll probably find a place to put it all year because I just really like this. So, okay, so that's the mousecapade cell and number 1 again. And then I have one new start, and that's the next design for the 12 and 22 ornaments challenge. So for February, this design, I want to say it came on my radar from whenever I saw it in Just Cross Stitch's Christmas ornament issue, and it's an angel. So the designer had, I'll see if I can insert a picture, but she had several different angels, and then they all had like buttons that said different words like peace and hope and joy, etc. So I always meant to stitch at least one of the angels, and I've not gotten around to it. And I decided that this challenge and me like trying to do things that I've not done before, like designers I've not stitched or ones that have been like long on my wish list, it's like this is the perfect time to get this out and make it happen. So the designer is M Designs, and she used to have an Etsy shop where she was selling all of the angels, but she seems to have taken it down. Website doesn't really seem to be going anymore, so I think she's maybe done with cross-stitch design. I'm not sure what's going on there. But anyway, so this angel is a combination of 2 angels. It's the angel from the Just Cross Stitch Christmas issue, and I'm not sure which issue it is. I'll see if I can find out for you and put it in the description. It just, when I printed out my page, it doesn't say what year. So it's a mesh of that angel plus can't remember if it's Joy, the brunette with the curly hair. So I combined the 2 of them because I kind of want it to look like me. So I needed the curly hair, but I was liking the other one's dress. So anyway, I also changed like a million things. Let me just show it to you. Aren't I angelic? No? So as I said, I took the angel from the Just Cross Stitch and I just kind of merged the 2 angels. So she's got the hair from the other angel, but she's got the dress of the one in the holiday issue. And I just came up with some of my own colors. Like I tried to make her 2 skin colors match mine as best I could. My cheeks aren't that pink, but you know, whatever. Or my lips aren't that red, but I just picked colors I thought looked good. And then the hair's kind of this color. This is Caterpillar from Classic Color Works. So it's a mix of DMC that I grabbed and some overdyed flosses. These are not the original colors. It was like purple and green, but I thought it'd be pretty if she had kind of like a whitish, creamish dress with some gold. I did actually have the rainbow gallery called for. I only own like 2 colors, and I actually happen to have the right one. This is a silk. It's a Vera Soie. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I think it's like Soie Perlé. It's a thicker silk on a spool. And I wanted to try it out, and that's what was charted. So I did, and it's Smyrna's with a little bit of cross stitches around her hair. I think I could have left off all the little cross stitches here and there, and maybe just done the ones around the hair, but whatever. I didn't know at the time. There is some over one stitching. The eyes, the eyebrows, the eyelashes, the lips, over one. So I used 32 count Sparrow. And I think the model was stitched on 30 count. I think it looks a little better to me on 32. So I'll do the other wing. That's all I have left to do, and then I'll finish it. It was finished kind of in a upside down U shape. I don't know what that is. Flat, circle, rounded thing. Whatever shape that is. Is there a name for that shape? There must be, right? Okay, so that's the shape that they use. I'm going to use it. So there were button words that would go here, and then she was kind of holding it as a sign. I just left that off. I couldn't find the buttons. They're long gone, and I wasn't going to worry about it. So less stitching, less work. It's fine. So I'm super happy. I think she's really pretty. I'm glad I finally got around to her. There's so many things that you tell yourself you're going to do and you don't get to. So it's like, yes, something I finally got to that I wanted to get to from years ago. Like whenever it came out in Just Cross Stitch and I first noticed it. So super happy. I have not decided on next month's stitch, but I should think about that soon to try to plan. Okay, so let's talk about my giveaway from my last video. So thanks so much for your comments on my last video. I really enjoyed reading them. I'm sorry that I was not able to respond to your comments. It's been a busy time since classes have started, but I wanted to let you know that I appreciate them. I was amazed by how generous you all are with your handmade gifts. A lot of people have made samplers and quilts and all kinds of things that they've given as gifts for anniversaries or Christmas or other situations. So I was just amazed. So the winner of last time, the giveaway, was Marty, M-A-R-D-Y, Smith. So congratulations, Marty. If you would contact me by email, Misty@Luminous Fiber Arts, I will get you your gift certificate to my website. It's an e-gift certificate. And if you're in the United States, you can use it towards whatever in my shop to purchase. If you're outside the United States, you can use it towards PDFs because I only ship to US and Canada right now. So Canada, you could also, if you wanted to purchase a physical thing. But if you're outside the US and Canada, it would be PDFs only, but you can purchase whatever PDFs you'd like. Okay, so congratulations. I hope you enjoy whatever it is that you decide to choose. Okay, so just a little life update. I'm really busy getting ready for market. I'm sure that's not surprising. It's kind of crazy to think that it's actually happening. I haven't been around that many people since last time there was a market. That was the last time I was around a group of people that big. So 2 years ago. So that feels kind of strange, and it's a little bit surreal that it's actually happening after so many things being canceled and delayed and what have you, but it's happening. So, you know, hopefully I stay well and my helper stays well and we don't have any problems and everything goes smoothly. So I'm excited about getting ready for that, getting some displays ready this week to start testing out my setup. So if you're new here, in addition to being a designer and a fabric dyer, I also have a day job. So my day job, I am a college professor. I teach Spanish, and that has been going okay. It's been an interesting semester. Lots of like illnesses and freak accident kind of things, people falling on the ice and getting concussions or hurting themselves in other ways. So it's just kind of a lot of dealing with random things happening. Not random, I mean, we have ice here. It's been some crazy weather. So it's not surprising that people would fall on it, but it just feels kind of random. Like people who have consistently had something come up continue to have problems like all semester so far. And we're in week 5 now. So hopefully life calms down for people, and that the students can just come to class and be well. That's my goal, hopefully. So it's going okay. And I really like the classroom that I have this semester. I don't usually get one room for every class. I often have to change rooms every class. But I couldn't have picked a better location. They put me right by the parking garage that I'm parking in, and I really like the classroom. It's a really nice classroom. The students don't like it. They complain it's too far away. It's great for me. And since I have to be there more than them, I guess it should matter that I like it. So that's fine. My mom's planning to come visit me later this spring at the end of March, so I'm getting excited about that. Been doing a little bit of antique shopping here and there, which has been fun. I always enjoy that. Had some crazy cold weather, snow, ice. I got like a 1/4 inch of ice on my windshield of my car the other day that I had to clean off. That took quite a while. So it's definitely winter here, but we are getting longer days, which I am glad for. I'm seriously really hoping that Nashville is warmer than here. There's been times when we've gone to Nashville and it's not that much better than here. And it's a long ways to drive. You want it to feel like you went somewhere other than Pennsylvania. So fingers crossed for very nice weather and no storms during our trip. So that's, market is right on the beginning of, like, just before my spring break, really. So I'll be leaving as soon as I'm done teaching on a Wednesday, and then coming back the following week. So I will, at that point, around that time, I will need to make my shop PDF only during market time, because I obviously won't be able to ship anything, and so it'll be just simpler. So I will, at that time when I need to leave, I'll just take down any physical things and leave up the PDFs for people. So just so you know to expect that. So yeah, things are going fine, and I can feel spring is coming. I finally transitioned to spring. I kept Christmas up until this past weekend. I was still enjoying it, frankly, and although I usually am kind of desperate for spring, and I do want spring, I guess I was just really enjoying Christmas still for some reason. And I liked my decorations, and it felt like winter. And I think a lot of times, like, life is so busy in the lead up to Christmas, I hardly feel like I get to appreciate it. So it's like I was spending the month after Christmas appreciating Christmas instead of appreciating it in December or November, because there was no time to do that then, which I think is fine. I have a lot of Christmas decorations. It's a lot of work to put them up. I might as well enjoy them for as long as possible. So I took them down and put up my spring. I've got some more spring things in different parts of my house. I'm enjoying it now. Plans, I'm just going to keep doing the ornaments. I'm going to do my Mousecapade sell. I don't know if I'll do a birthday start in April. I'll just see how things go and what I get done. And I'm just kind of taking it easy. And of course, I'm already working on plans for the next thing. I've got models with model stitchers and planning out more things to send out, things I need to stitch. So I'm keeping busy with exciting new things for this year. So I think that's everything. Thank you so much for visiting with me today and hanging out with me, checking out my new designs. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will look forward to catching up with you again soon. Hopefully I will be able to record like a little video while I'm at market of my room. Maybe I can give you a tour. That would be fun. So I'm gonna try for that if I can. Okay, take care, and I will see you in about a month. Bye-bye.